Welcome back to Stamps Old World UK, the place where history, rarity, and hidden treasures come alive through the fascinating world of philately. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most iconic and visually striking pieces of American postal history, the famous United States 2-cent postage due stamp. This beautiful red stamp you see is more than just a piece of paper. It represents a unique chapter in postal systems, economics, and collectible culture that continues to capture the attention of collectors around the globe. This particular stamp belongs to the postage due category, which means it was not used to send mail initially, but rather to indicate that additional payment was required upon delivery. Introduced in the late 19th century, postage due stamps like this one were used by postal services to collect insufficient postage fees from recipients. The bold design, featuring the large numeral 2 in the center, instantly communicates the amount owed, making it both functional and visually distinctive. The intricate patterns, ornate borders, and deep carmine red color reflect the printing artistry of the time, often produced using engraved plates that give the stamp a textured, almost three-dimensional appearance. Now let's talk about what really excites collectors today, the market value. The value of a United States 2-cent postage due stamp can vary significantly depending on several key factors. Condition is everything in the stamp world. A well-centered stamp with sharp perforations, vibrant color, and no tears or stains can command a much higher price. If the stamp is unused with original gum, meaning it has never been hinged or mounted, it is generally more desirable. On the other hand, used stamps with clear, attractive cancellations can also hold value, especially if they tell a historical story. As of today's market, a common version of this 2-cent postage due stamp in average used condition may range between $2 to $10. However, if the stamp is in excellent condition, well-centered, and possibly graded by a professional philatelic authority, the value can rise to around $20 to $50 or even more. Rare variations, such as specific printings, errors, or stamps from limited issues, can reach into the hundreds of dollars, particularly if they are highly sought after by specialized collectors. Auction results and dealer listings continue to show steady interest in postage due stamps, especially among collectors who focus on postal history rather than just standard issues. What makes this stamp truly fascinating is not just its monetary value, but its story. Imagine a time when letters traveled slowly across vast distances, and every cent mattered. Receiving a letter with a postage due stamp meant someone on the other end had miscalculated the cost, and you, as the recipient, had to pay the difference. It adds a human element to the stamp, a glimpse into everyday life from over a century ago. These stamps were witnesses to communication, connection, and sometimes even urgency. Another important factor influencing value is rarity within specific print runs. Some printings of the 2-cent postage due stamp were produced in smaller quantities or had slight design differences that make them more collectible. Watermarks, paper type, and perforation measurements all play a role in identifying these variations. Advanced collectors often use magnifying tools and catalogs to distinguish between similar-looking stamps that may have very different values. The global stamp market itself has evolved significantly in recent years. Online marketplaces, auctions, and collector forums have made it easier than ever to buy, sell, and evaluate stamps. While some traditional areas of stamp collecting have seen fluctuating demand, classic stamps like this one continue to maintain a loyal following. In fact, many collectors today are rediscovering postage due stamps as an undervalued niche with strong historical appeal and potential for growth. For those of you watching who may have inherited a collection or found similar stamps tucked away in old albums, this is your reminder to take a closer look. Even a small stamp like this could hold more value than you expect, especially if it meets the criteria collectors are searching for. Proper storage is also essential. Keeping stamps in a dry, cool environment, using acid-free albums, and avoiding direct handling can preserve their condition and protect their value over time. As we continue to explore the world of stamps here on Stamps Old World UK, remember that every stamp has a story, and every story has a value that goes beyond money. Whether you are a seasoned collector or just starting your journey, pieces like this 2-cent postage due stamp offer a perfect blend of history, artistry, and investment potential.
Next up, the bold and beautiful 3-cent postage due stamp. This deep red stamp, featuring the large numeral 3 at its center, is not just a simple postal label, but a symbol of an era when mail systems were evolving and precision in postage mattered more than ever. This 3-cent postage due stamp belongs to the same important category as the previous one, used when insufficient postage had been paid by the sender. Instead of rejecting the mail, the Postal Service delivered it and collected the missing amount from the recipient. This system made communication more flexible, but also introduced these unique stamps into circulation. The design itself is instantly recognizable, with ornate engravings, symmetrical patterns, and that commanding central number, making it both practical and visually appealing for collectors. The craftsmanship behind this stamp is truly remarkable. Produced using traditional engraving methods, every line and curve was carefully etched to create a detailed and elegant design. The rich carmine or red tone gives it a strong presence, and even today, over a century later, many of these stamps retain their visual impact. The lettering US Postage Due clearly identifies its purpose, while the bottom inscription, 3 cents, confirms the exact amount that was owed at the time. Now, let's talk about what most collectors and viewers are curious about: the market value in today's world. The value of the United States 3-cent postage due stamp depends heavily on condition, centering, and whether the stamp is used or unused. A typical used example with visible cancellation marks and average condition usually sells in the range of $3 to $12. However, a well-preserved copy with sharp perforations, strong color, and a clean appearance can easily reach $20 to $60 in today's collector market. If you happen to own an unused version with original gum intact, especially one that has never been hinged, the value increases significantly. Such stamps are more difficult to find and are highly sought after by serious collectors. In some cases, pristine examples or stamps that have been professionally graded can fetch upwards of $80 to $150, depending on demand and rarity. Additionally, rare printings, subtle variations, or printing errors can push the value even higher, sometimes reaching into the hundreds for specialized collectors. What makes this stamp truly exciting is not just its value, but the story it carries. Imagine receiving a letter long ago, only to discover that an extra 3 cents was required before you could read it. It adds a sense of realism and connection to the past, reminding us that communication was once a much more deliberate and tangible process. These stamps are small witnesses to those everyday moments, carrying with them the human side of postal history. Collectors today are increasingly interested in postage due stamps because they represent a unique niche within philately. Unlike regular postage stamps, these were not meant to prepay mail, but to correct a mistake. That alone gives them a distinctive identity and adds to their charm. As more collectors begin to explore this category, demand has shown steady growth, making stamps like this one both historically valuable and potentially rewarding investments. Another important aspect to consider is identification. There are multiple issues of the 3-cent postage due stamp, produced in different years with slight variations in paper, watermark, and perforation. Advanced collectors often rely on specialized catalogs and tools to determine exactly which issue they have, as this can greatly affect the stamp's value. Even a small difference can mean a significant price change in the market. If you have a stamp like this in your collection, it is worth taking the time to examine it closely. Look at the centering, check for any damage, and consider whether it might be worth professional grading. Proper storage is also essential to maintain its condition. Using protective mounts and keeping the stamp in a controlled environment can help preserve its beauty and value for years to come. Here at Stamps Old World UK, we believe that every stamp, no matter how small, holds a story worth telling. The 3-cent postage due stamp is a perfect example of how history, design, and value come together in a single collectible piece. Whether you are collecting for passion, investment, or curiosity, stamps like this offer endless opportunities to explore and learn.
Next up, the bold and historic 5-cent postage due stamp. This stamp, with its strong design and deep red tone, represents not only a practical tool of the postal system, but also a highly collectible artifact that continues to attract attention in today's stamp market. The 5-cent postage due stamp was issued during a time when postal systems were becoming more structured and efficient. Like other postage due stamps, its purpose was simple but essential. If a letter was sent without sufficient postage, instead of returning it, the Postal Service would deliver it and collect the missing amount from the recipient. This 5-cent value indicates a higher deficiency, suggesting either heavier mail or a more significant underpayment, which makes it particularly interesting from a historical perspective. Looking closely at the design, you can immediately appreciate the craftsmanship. The large numeral 5 dominates the center, surrounded by intricate engraved patterns that reflect the printing expertise of the era. The words United States Postage Due clearly define its purpose, while the denomination, 5 cents, is displayed prominently at the bottom and in the corners. The symmetry, detail, and bold color give this stamp a powerful visual identity that stands out in any collection. Now, let's move to the most exciting part for collectors and enthusiasts, the market value in today's dollars. The value of a United States 5-cent postage due stamp can vary depending on several important factors, such as condition, centering, gum status, and rarity. A commonly found used example in average condition, with visible cancellation marks and some wear, typically falls in the range of $5 to $15 US. These are relatively accessible for collectors who are just starting out or looking to complete a set. However, when you move into better condition examples, the value begins to increase. A well-centered stamp with sharp perforations, strong color, and minimal flaws can range from $25 to $75 US. If the stamp is unused and retains its original gum, especially if it has never been hinged, it becomes far more desirable. In such cases, prices can rise between $80 and $200 US, depending on overall quality and demand. For high-end collectors, the real excitement comes from rare varieties and exceptional condition pieces. Certain printings of the 5-cent postage due stamp were produced in limited quantities or have distinguishing features, such as different paper types, watermarks, or perforation measurements. These subtle differences can significantly impact value. A rare or professionally graded example in near-perfect condition can sometimes reach several $100s or more at auction, especially if it attracts competitive bidding. What makes this stamp particularly compelling is the story it represents. A 5-cent deficiency was not insignificant at the time, which suggests that the mail it accompanied may have been important, urgent, or perhaps miscalculated in haste. Each stamp like this carries with it a silent narrative of communication from the past, connecting us to real moments in history where people relied on letters to share news, emotions, and information. The market for postage due stamps has been gaining renewed interest in recent years. While many collectors traditionally focused on regular postage issues, there is a growing appreciation for these functional yet often overlooked stamps. Their unique purpose and bold designs make them stand out, and as more collectors explore this area, demand continues to strengthen steadily. Identification is another key factor when evaluating your stamp. There are multiple issues of the 5-cent postage due stamp, each with slight variations that can affect value. Careful examination using a magnifying glass, along with reference to specialized stamp catalogs, can help determine the exact type. This step is crucial for anyone looking to accurately assess their collection or consider selling. If you already own a stamp like this, it is important to preserve it properly. Keep it in a protective mount, avoid direct handling, and store it in a stable, dry environment. Even small improvements in condition can make a noticeable difference in value over time. For more valuable examples, professional grading and certification can also add credibility and increase market appeal. Here at Stamps Old World UK, we believe that stamps are more than collectibles. They are pieces of history that tell powerful stories. The 5-cent postage due stamp is a perfect example of how function, design, and history come together in one small yet meaningful item. Whether you are a passionate collector or simply curious about the value of old stamps, this piece offers both insight and opportunity. Thank you for joining us once again on Stamps Old World UK. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 5-cent postage due stamp and its current market value, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more detailed explorations of rare and valuable stamps from around the world. Keep collecting, keep learning, and I will see you in the next video.